Hey everybody, Ed here with the Digital Digest, and today I wanted to share a quick unboxing and first look at the Nvidia Shield tablet, priced at $299.99 for the 16GB Wi-Fi version I'll be unboxing today. You can also step up to the 32GB LTE-enabled version if you desire those specifications, but otherwise the tablets are identical, and really this is the best of both worlds when it comes to what Shield represents. Those of you that have followed my channel already know exactly what the Shield is all about. It really wasn't received incredibly well between pricing and really just overall usability. It definitely targeted a niche of users that were excited about it, but not the general public. And Nvidia countered that with the Tegra Note 7, which was a great product at a very good price. And here we have a little bit more of a compromise, but in my opinion, the best of both worlds. So you can see the specifications right there, and really this is the most powerful and compelling tablet on the market right now when it comes to specifications and pricing, because even though $300 may sound like a lot of money for an 8-inch device that is based around a mobile OS, you are looking at a whole new generation of product, and that's because at the core of this brand new tablet is Nvidia's Tegra K1. Now, unlike previous generations of even, let's say, the Tegra 4, which was an ARM A15 chip, here we're getting a desktop class processor. The key difference is that even though this does sport 192 core Kepler GPU, which again breathes and reminds us all of desktop architecture, it pulls a little over 2 watts when compared to, of course, the Titan or any other card in the GTX lineup, which requires far more power, and I shouldn't have to tell you, that equates to a whole nother experience. But the idea is simple. This is going to open up development so that this really can be a gaming tablet, but also be just a best-in-class tablet for those of you who don't care about the gaming element that this actually brings to the table. You've got an 8-inch full HD LCD. It is an IPS panel, 1920 by 1200 resolution, so a solid upgrade from the Tegra Note 7. Again, everything about this device is really the brainchild of basically upgrading everything that the Shield Portable, which is now what the original Shield is referred to as, and the Tegra Note 7 had to offer. 2 gigs of RAM, that's a gig more than the Tegra Note 7, and the same amount found on the Shield. 16 gigs, as I mentioned before, of internal storage, but keep in mind we do have a micro SD card slot for storage expansion up to 128 gigs. And of course, that may even get higher as this device continues to get solid software updates from Nvidia, because they really are 100% behind all of these devices. In terms of wireless performance, expect best in class, because we do have a dual band radio in here. So essentially, Nvidia wants you to utilize the best possible Wi-Fi out there, because otherwise it defeats the purpose, at least, of the gaming element of this tablet. You've got 5 megapixel cameras both on the front and back, and that's because, well, another feature I'll get to a little bit later, which is Twitch. And then on top of that, we also have, essentially, in my opinion, a much better upgrade in terms of the build quality over, again, both the Shield and Tegra Note 7 from what I've seen. And on the back of the box, just an illustration of the accessories. Now, many of you may think, how did we go to a new gaming console that no longer has the controller? And I think this is really a product of feedback from the public, and Nvidia acknowledging that a lot of you out there already have controllers that you want to use. But in the same vein, this way you don't have to use theirs, but if you want the experience as they desire to actually deliver it, this is the way you're going to get it. Keep in mind, this device supports up to 4 controllers. I don't have the controller, unfortunately. Nvidia didn't send this to me. I purchased this device on my own. And basically the controller has a microphone on board besides some capacitive Android buttons right here, and then also has a headphone jack. So up to 4 players can be playing using this tablet as a console. And when you round out the pricing, the controller is $60, the case is $40, you're looking at $400 for this entire package, as much as a console. So certainly this is a compelling product, but a lot of people are going to want to buy an Xbox One or PS4 instead of this package. But if you already have those devices, or are simply a PC gamer, or really just looking for a best-in-class tablet, that's what this is able to do in all of those respects, which is amazing. No other tablet can do that. And as I mentioned before, because of the K1 processor, development is no longer the hurdle that it traditionally has been for mobile operating systems. At least that's the idea. So this may be a first gen, a real proof of concept at its core, but in my opinion, you're looking at right now a game-changing product that is going to change the way that we game eventually. I mean, PS3, Xbox 360 quality graphics from the hardware on here, and then if you game stream or use the Grid Cloud beta, then you're going to get pretty much the performance that you have with your own PC or from the cloud, and that's just amazing. And of course, the cloud, the whole concept there, quite simply, is to solve the problem of having to rely on your network. Because for those of you unaware, beyond being just an incredibly powerful tablet, this does accomplish what the Shield did, which was allow you to game either on your home network or on the go using that cloud system, which again is only a beta. As I finally get the box off here. And I wish the accessories had been available, but unfortunately they were not. And there we finally have it. I know many of you were waiting, but anyone who subscribes knows that I'm detail-oriented and try to give all of you as much information as possible. Now, as I mentioned before, build quality, I can already feel it. A much more solid device than what we had with the Tegra Note 7. This does have the direct stylus, which I really haven't even mentioned. You can see it right there, and that is part of the Tegra Note 7 coming through on this. And Nvidia says there are more Shield products coming. If I had to guess what those would be, I could see them taking a device like this, and I don't have any information, this is just me guessing here, and shrinking it down into a streaming device, something like a Chromecast, and making it a lot less expensive, and of course, taking away all of these features. We also have HDMI out here. You're going to see that in a moment. I'll start off with the back since we're looking at it right now. You can see we have the 5 megapixel rear camera, no flash, a nice matte finish here, a little bit of a rubberized texture, but really soft plastic is what I would describe it. The Shield logo, at least the new Shield logo, and again, really solid, no creak in this. It feels the way a tablet frankly should. And I imagine this is much what the next Nexus is going to look like, considering even though it's not being made by Nvidia, a lot of rumors about the processor being the K1, and it would make sense considering it is arguably the most powerful chip on the market right now. You can see we've got front-facing speakers, which are, from what I've heard, best in class for a tablet under 10 inches, and in some instances actually outpower larger tablets, so excited to see how they perform. We've got that other 5 megapixel camera right there, and that's for Twitch, as I mentioned before. Of course, you can use it for selfies. Nvidia does pride themselves on the camera software that they've built into this device out of the box, and relatively stock OS here, latest version of Android. That's a great thing, and you're going to get, as I mentioned, updates basically as quickly as a Nexus device, because Nvidia knows they're selling you the experience unlike any other manufacturer. They know you want a stock experience. At the top of the device, you can see we've got our power button, volume rocker, that micro SD card slot that I mentioned before, up to 128 gig capacity support right now. This, I imagine, is a dummy where the LTE will be on LTE-enabled versions. The direct stylus I mentioned before, stored on the top right corner. It is a next generation, but it is a passive stylus. So all of your pressure sensitivity comes from the fact that the tip of this pen is angled and has different point basically. It's not just a pen head like you would get on any capacitive stylus, where you're relying on the digitizer to interpret the sensitivity. Here you actually have a finite tool to draw with. And then they have graphic acceleration using the K1, much like on the Tegra Note 7. We have essentially what is really a subwoofer of sorts to basically bring us surround sound like experience from these front-facing speakers right there. And then on the left side, you've got all of your ports. So that means we have our headphone jack. I mentioned that the controller also has a headphone jack, but this is a dual audio jack, both in and out. You have your HDMI as well as your micro USB for charging. And you can see they went with a legit HDMI out. This is, again, just listening to users, understanding what consumers want. And yes, this is a more expensive device than the Tegra Note 7, but that's because it's a far more powerful one and far more complete when you look at the entire package between the upgrade in the cameras, the display getting larger, higher res. Basically, everything has been improved here. We have more RAM on board now. Storage, basically a wash, but still, this at $300 is arguably far superior to anything on the market unless you must have a Super AMOLED from Nvidia. So let me go ahead and try to power this thing on. I know a lot of you have been waiting for that. Let's see what that display looks like. Again, IPS, and supposed to have solid viewing angles, as it should, being that it is a 1920 by 1200 res display that is IPS based. It's not, I can tell you already, it's not going to be a best-in-class display, but keep in mind that Nvidia had to be actually aware or mindful of resolution simply because this is a gaming tablet. But where they were really smart, in my opinion, is that this is more than a gaming tablet. This is easily now a device that, if you're just in the market for an incredibly powerful 8-inch, well-made, and really completely feature-rich, better than any other outside of display quality, this is exactly what you're going to get. And you're not going to get this for $300 from any other manufacturer. And that's what I think was really smart about this. So unlike a little bit of a tutorial here, introducing you to the Shield store, the accessory lineup, but just getting us to the home screen, there you have it. The display looks great. I can tell you already. High gloss display, by the way. And I'm just excited to finally start using it. But there you have the actual tablet itself, and you can see Nvidia incorporating the Shield store right there, what was the Shield button in days past, which gives you access to the store. I think there are over 400 Android titles now that are supported with controller capability. Of course, you don't need to use a Shield controller, but it helps if you're using this. And then on top of that, there are a tremendous amount of titles, believe it or not, in Nvidia's own Tegra Zone with optimized games for the Tegra chipset, as well as now for the K1. I think there are 8 or 10 titles out of the box. But even if you want to play stock Android games and not do streaming, you're looking at the best device to do that as well. Games like Half-Life 2 are on here ported because of the K1 and its architecture being basically native, even though now we're still working in a mobile environment. So that's where Nvidia has broken a barrier. This, in my opinion, is, as I've said, a game-changing approach that no one else has had the gall to take on. And I give them credit. They've stuck with this despite not having a home run out of the gate in the first gen. And then at the bottom of the device, I don't want to leave that out, you can see the 2 attachment points for the magnetic cover that is optional, again, at $40. The Grid cloud system, as I mentioned, is basically the way that you can utilize all of the gaming prowess of this device on the go when you don't have the convenience of your home network. You can see the charging cable right there, pretty much the same one that came with the Shield micro USB. The power brick, though, is different, that I can tell you. Definitely a departure from what we had before. And I'm assuming that the other half of it is somewhere underneath here. So we've got our tablet safety information. Gonna toss that aside. And there we have the actual power brick attachment for going into the wall. And that pretty much sums things up. I don't think there's anything else in here. It wouldn't make sense for there to be. And I'm just excited to share this with all of you because it really is, again, the culmination of Nvidia looking at what they did right, what they did wrong, and bringing it to all of us in the form of still an affordable device that's only going to go down in price with time. And in my opinion, they've got a winner here. Of course, I've got to put it through the paces, but the concept is solid. If you have a GTX enabled laptop or desktop in the house, then you already know what the Shield can do, so this is going to do it even better. The remote console capability of hooking it up to your TV, taking this with you anywhere, and again, being able to use 4 controllers, so if you want to create your own little, I'm not going to call it a LAN party, but you see where I'm going. It is a capable console on its own. As I said, PS3, Xbox 360 quality just based on the hardware we have here, still paired with a 1200p display, which is awesome. Then on top of that, if you want full-blown capability, stream through your PC or the Grid Cloud if you're close enough and have a high quality connection, at least 10 megabit, I believe, and they're saying under 40 latency, which makes sense. That would be what you'd need for any good gaming. Then you can actually use this to not neglect the graphics performance, because it'll be deferring to your gaming rig in-house or the Grid system itself. So a really exciting tablet. Again, $300 I think buys you more than any other tablet on the market right now. This is going to give everyone a run for the money. Unfortunately, no marketing for this device. But again, smart that Nvidia realized that even if you don't want this for gaming, now they've got a product that's a competent and actually, I would say, lust-worthy tablet in the marketplace, something they couldn't really brag about with the Tegra Note 7, despite its power, prowess, and low price. Any questions or comments, please feel free to post them. And of course, as usual, please feel free to subscribe. Later.